Hey, listen, right? It was good while it lasted for Jake, okay?
I take your life. That's what I do. Rockman and those guys, didn't have their eyes, haven't seen what I've seen. I'm ordained for this. I've been to Valhalla. I've seen the most vicious and most cruelest and coldest white people in the world. They accept me. He can't stop me. Him.
In this highly anticipated showdown between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul, it's impossible to ignore the staggering contrast in their fighting styles, backgrounds, and experience levels. Let's start by breaking down exactly what makes these two fighters so different and why these differences could define the outcome of this match. First up, let's talk about Mike Tyson, a name that echoes through the annals of boxing history. Tyson isn't just a former champion. He's a living legend who redefined the sport of boxing with his sheer power, agility, and aggression. Tyson began his professional career at only 18 years old, bursting onto the scene in the mid-1980s with a relentless fighting style that left his opponents stunned and spectators awestruck. Known as Iron Mike, Tyson became the youngest heavyweight champion in history at age 20, showcasing a unique combination of speed, raw power, and technique that left a trail of knockouts in his wake. His ability to close distance quickly, cut angles, and deliver devastating body shots earned him a reputation as one of the most ferocious fighters ever to enter the ring. Unlike Tyson, Jake Paul's entry into boxing was far from conventional. Jake rose to fame not in the boxing world, but on YouTube, gaining millions of followers through social media and content creation. His boxing journey didn't start until much later, initially as a way to challenge himself and prove he could handle physical and mental challenges. While Jake's background doesn't boast a career of battles against top fighters, he's taken his training seriously, using his fame and resources to bring in elite trainers and sparring partners. Jake has carved out a niche for himself as a boxing entertainer, consistently drawing audiences, but he lacks the deep well of in-ring experience that Tyson has. His record, and while undefeated for a time against fellow social media stars, MMA fighters, and one boxer in Tommy Fury, hasn't exposed him to the same caliber of opponents that Tyson faced throughout his career. Now let's examine their fighting styles. Tyson's approach to boxing can be summed up in one word: ferocity. Under the mentorship of D'Amato, Tyson developed a unique fighting style that combined D'Amato's peekaboo technique with his natural physical gifts. This style allowed Tyson to stay low, move in quickly, and explode upward with tremendous power, a combination that made him lethal in close range. He used rapid head movement and a high guard to slip punches, staying close enough to unleash his devastating hooks and uppercuts. Tyson's fights were rarely lengthy affairs. His game plan was to overwhelm and annihilate his opponents as quickly as possible, often ending bouts in the first few rounds. While Jake has the advantage of youth and size, his technique lacks the polish and finesse of Tyson's. He hasn't developed the same skill in cutting off the ring or the defensive tactics needed to handle Tyson's relentless pressure. And let's not forget, Tyson's conditioning and ring IQ from decades of high-level fights are leagues ahead of what Jake has experienced. Another factor that sets these two apart is their mentality. Tyson's career was marked by a ruthless killer instinct. He saw boxing as a fight for survival, aiming to dominate and destroy his opponents with every punch. This mindset made him one of the most feared fighters in the sport, and even today that intimidating aura lingers. When Tyson steps into the ring, he doesn't see it as a show. He sees it as combat. For him, boxing isn't about fame or social media. It's about proving himself as the best fighter and leaving his mark. This old-school mentality makes Tyson uniquely dangerous because he's able to tap into a deep reserve of experience and controlled aggression. Jake, on the other hand, comes from a world where hype, social media, and entertainment are woven into the fabric of his career. While he's serious about his training and has developed a strong sense of discipline, he hasn't faced the same level of psychological warfare Tyson has lived through, nor does he carry the same need to prove himself in the ring. Lastly, there's the matter of endurance and resilience. Tyson's style may have been known for quick knockouts, but he's proven in his later years that he can go the distance when needed. His fight against Roy Jones Jr. in 2020, even though it was an exhibition, displayed that Tyson still has stamina and the physical ability to endure rounds of boxing. Jake's cardio and endurance have not been tested against someone with Tyson's power and pressure. Though Jake has fought in several rounds in previous matches, the grueling nature of a fight against someone as relentless as Tyson could push him beyond his comfort zone. In short, this fight is a true clash of two vastly different boxing worlds. On one side, we have a battle-hardened legend whose career embodies the brutal, unforgiving nature of professional boxing. On the other, we have a determined newcomer who's made his way up from the world of social media, facing his toughest opponent yet. For Tyson, this fight is about revisiting his glory and proving he's still a force to be reckoned with, even decades past his prime. For Jake, it's a massive opportunity to validate his place in boxing history, stepping into the ring with a man whose name is synonymous with fear and respect. Ultimately, the outcome may depend on whether Jake's youth and athleticism can withstand Tyson's depth of experience, power, and fight IQ. This isn't just a fight. It's a spectacle that pits the raw history of boxing against the modern landscape of social media fame. Only time will tell if Jake can survive Tyson's assault, or if Tyson will add another unforgettable chapter to his storied career. When it comes to power and instinct in the boxing ring, few names resonate as strongly as Mike Tyson's. Despite his age, Tyson's reputation as one of the hardest hitters in boxing history still holds strong, and for good reason. Tyson has always been known for his raw power, a natural ability that he honed through years of intense training and thousands of hours in the ring. In this upcoming bout with Jake Paul, the big question isn't just whether Tyson still has that power, but how dangerous it will be for an opponent like Jake, who has never faced anyone with Tyson's kind of experience or intensity. Let's talk about Tyson's power. During his prime, Tyson's punch was often described as a sledgehammer. His punches were fast, brutal, and carried enough force to knock out his opponents cold in the early rounds. Even in his older age, Tyson retains that punching power to a remarkable degree, as evidenced by his 2020 fight with Roy Jones Jr. Though that bout was technically an exhibition with restrictions against knockouts, Tyson's punches visibly rocked Jones. Jones, himself an elite former champion, later admitted that Tyson's shots to the body were some of the hardest he'd ever felt. Tyson still has the ability to generate enormous force in his punches, making him a real threat even at 58 years old. What's unique about Tyson's power isn't just brute strength, it's his ability to combine that power with sharp instincts. For Tyson, boxing was never just about throwing punches. It was about reading his opponent, timing his attacks, and finding openings that other fighters simply couldn't see. Tyson's training under D'Amato emphasized these instincts, teaching him to move with precision and strike with lethal accuracy. Even now, Tyson can anticipate his opponent's movements and exploit even the smallest mistakes. In the ring, he's like a chess player with lightning-fast reflexes. He knows exactly where to place his punches and can deliver them with explosive speed. Then there's Tyson's ring IQ, which is often underestimated. A lot of fans remember Tyson for his knockout power, but his strategic mind was a crucial factor in his success. Over the years, Tyson developed a unique ability to adapt his approach based on his opponent's strengths and weaknesses. This skill didn't fade with age. If anything, it's deepened. Against younger fighters like Jake Paul, Tyson's experience and tactical awareness give him an advantage that can't be measured in simple physical terms. He's not just fighting with his body, he's fighting with decades of accumulated knowledge, a trait that's rare among active fighters today. Tyson's ability to generate fear and pressure his opponents is almost a skill of its own. He doesn't just fight, he makes his opponents uncomfortable, creating psychological tension that can break them down even before the physical toll sets in. Jake, who's known for his confidence, might find himself facing a kind of pressure he's never experienced. Tyson's ability to intimidate isn't just in his reputation, it's in how he fights, how he moves, and how he uses every second in the ring to unsettle his opponents. Another aspect to consider is Tyson's ability to fight on the inside. His compact frame and explosive movements allow him to close the distance quickly and effectively. This skill makes him a nightmare in close quarters, especially for fighters who rely on reach and distance. Tyson has spent his entire career training to deliver short, powerful hooks and uppercuts that capitalize on close-range exchanges. For Jake, whose style often involves keeping his opponents at a distance, this could pose a significant challenge. If Tyson manages to close the gap, he could deliver shots that Jake simply won't be prepared for, especially if Jake hasn't adapted his training to handle Tyson's aggressive style up close. While Tyson's age means he might lack the same speed and endurance he once had, his instincts are still as sharp as ever. Tyson knows how to conserve energy, picking his moments with precision rather than constant aggression. He's learned how to pace himself, using short bursts of power to control the fight instead of going all out from the first bell. This makes him unpredictable. He might look calm one moment and unleash a powerful combination the next, forcing Jake to stay on high alert. Jake's reflexes and defensive skills will be tested in a way they never have been before, as Tyson's experience and timing are a different level of challenge than anything Jake has encountered. Let's also talk about Tyson's famous body shots. Known for his brutal body-punching power, Tyson often breaks down his opponents from the inside out. A powerful shot to the body can be just as devastating as a knockout punch to the head, and Tyson knows exactly where to land these punches to maximize damage. For Jake, who has yet to face a body puncher of Tyson's caliber, this could be a game changer. A few well-placed shots to the ribs or solar plexus could significantly slow Jake down, wearing out his stamina and reducing his ability to stay mobile. Finally, there's Tyson's determination and love for the sport. This isn't just a paycheck or a publicity stunt for him. Tyson is passionate about proving himself. Every time he steps into the ring, he's showing the world that he's still a force to be reckoned with. Jake may have youth and athleticism on his side, but Tyson's fighting spirit, the same drive that made him an unstoppable force decades ago, still burns strong. Tyson's instincts are backed not only by experience, but by a deep-rooted desire to showcase the skills that made him a legend. He's not interested in coasting. He's in it to win. In short, Tyson's power and instincts remain two of his greatest assets. He's no longer the young powerhouse he once was, but his punches still carry a weight and precision that few fighters possess. Combined with his tactical mind and wealth of experience, Tyson is far from an easy opponent, regardless of age. For Jake, stepping into the ring with a fighter of Tyson's caliber could be the ultimate test of his skill, endurance, and mental fortitude. Tyson's remaining power and instincts make him a unique threat, and a reminder that, in boxing, age and experience are weapons all their own. Jake faces one of his toughest challenges yet. For a young fighter like Jake, known for his confidence and social media fame, the stakes couldn't be higher as he steps into the ring with one of the sport's all-time greats. But to truly understand what Jake needs to overcome, let's look at some of his potential weaknesses and how his strategy might help him compensate for those gaps. First, Jake's lack of experience in boxing is a significant factor that could affect the outcome. While Jake has put in serious training and fought a range of opponents, he's only been in the ring since 2018, and his experience is limited compared to the decades Tyson has spent mastering the sport. Unlike Tyson, who built his career fighting top-tier opponents with varying styles, Jake has primarily fought a mix of social media personalities, retired athletes, and novice boxers. While these matches have given Jake exposure, they haven't fully tested him against a true veteran with the ferocity and skill level of someone like Tyson. This difference in experience could show up in critical moments, particularly if Tyson applies pressure that Jake isn't accustomed to. Jake's defense is another area that could be a potential weakness in this fight. Although he's developed a solid base as a puncher, Jake has shown a tendency to drop his guard, especially when under pressure. In previous fights, he's occasionally been caught off balance or left himself open while trying to land a power punch. This flaw may have been manageable against his past opponents, but Tyson's explosive speed and close-range power are on another level. If Jake fails to keep his guard up or leaves himself exposed, Tyson could capitalize with a devastating combination that Jake might not be able to recover from. Tyson's ability to close the distance quickly and exploit gaps in defense could make this a critical vulnerability for Jake. Then there's Jake's footwork, which has been a point of criticism from boxing analysts. While he's shown improvement over time, his movement can still appear a bit stiff or predictable. Unlike Tyson, who built his reputation on agile, unpredictable footwork and the ability to cut angles, Jake's footwork is more straightforward and lacks some of the finesse that's typical of experienced boxers. This could limit Jake's ability to avoid Tyson's attacks and might make him a more stationary target. If Tyson manages to control the ring and cut off Jake's movement, Jake could find himself trapped against the ropes, which is exactly where Tyson is at his most dangerous. Given these potential weaknesses, Jake's strategy will need to be carefully planned and executed if he wants to stand a chance. Jake's best bet may be to use his size and reach advantage, creating distance and avoiding close-range exchanges where Tyson thrives. Jake's youth gives him the advantage of speed and agility, even if his footwork isn't on par with Tyson's. By keeping Tyson at arm's length and focusing on landing quick, calculated jabs, Jake could prevent Tyson from getting in close enough to deliver his powerful hooks and uppercuts, a strategy based on maintaining range would allow Jake to control the pace of the fight and conserve energy, giving him a better chance of lasting through the later rounds if needed. Additionally, Jake's team may encourage him to focus on endurance and stamina as a key part of his training. Tyson, though still formidable, is 58 years old, and it's unlikely he can sustain the same intensity across multiple rounds as he could in his prime. If Jake can weather Tyson's initial attacks and force the fight into the later rounds, he could take advantage of Tyson's reduced stamina. This strategy would require Jake to be exceptionally disciplined, resisting the urge to go for early knockouts and instead focusing on outlasting his opponent. If Jake can manage the fight's pacing effectively, he might be able to wear Tyson down, especially as Tyson expends energy in his signature aggressive style early on.